alcohol's like really normal. It's like so dangerous. Like I hate to say, like I'm not gonna like tell anyone. Like I had some alcohol with my drink today, but like it's a crazy drug. It's so insane,
and sometimes like much more dangerous than other things that are like illegal.
Yes. Oh my god. And like,
I've never seen someone pulled up for Molly driving. In my crumble opinion. Welcome, crumb whores. You've tuned in to In My Crumble Opinion, a Bay Area podcast, visual podcast, where I invite Bay Area performers to come and chat with me, and we talk about all things drag and beyond. I am here with the legendary Vivvyanne Forevermore. You go by Vivvyanne these days? Cornelius? I forget. You've given me a few different instructions. What do you go by today?
No, Vivi's fine.
Vivi's fine.
I like Vivi. Vivvyanne Forevermore is great, but it's hard to put on a poster. You know? So Vivi, it's Vivi. Vivi's great. Cornelius is my day look.
Your day look.
Yeah.
And is this a day look or a night look for you?
This is an in-between look. This is an experimental look. It's becoming more of a night look. Like when I go dance, I do troll.
Okay.
And then I've been doing like thirst trappy troll photo shoots.
I've noticed. We've all noticed. We noticed. We send them to each other. Did you see this?
Nice. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay. So,
stay relevant, you know.
Did I say my name? I probably didn't. I'm Phoebe Cakes. I guess I'm like Vanilla Ice today. I wanted to do like a Twinkie king look. I don't know. I'm an elf. You're a troll. I'm an elf.
Yeah.
You're
looking like a king. You have the jaw scrape or whatever that line is.
Yeah.
I like it. It's really good.
Lisa's coming, so I knew I wanted to look like mud to turn
turn her on.
Turn them on. Okay, so let's just get right into it. I had some boilerplate questions just to get to know each other. Tell me about the birth of Vivi.
Sure. I mean, like the short version or the long version?
You can be long because we could definitely trim it down. I think like longer the better.
Well, in 1995, I took a train to New York City, and I was like a 15-year-old child, and I went to Pat Fields. You know who Pat Fields is? She was the designer on Sex and the City. She was a stylist.
Okay, the name's familiar. Okay,
but she had these stores down. She had 2 stores downtown, and Glamour everyone worked at them.
Okay.
And I went in to buy some eyeshadow because I was so gay.
Mm-hmm.
And Amanda Lepore was working the makeup counter.
Wow. Oh, wait. So you said you were 15 and you went to New York.
Yes.
So you're not from New York.
I was on Long Island.
You're in Long Island.
Which is a suburb, just a deep suburb.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I took the train in. And so then I was like, oh, other things are possible. And so then I became obsessed with like Club Kids and all this. And then I always wanted to do... I dressed up a lot when I would go out at night. Like, I would, not quite club kid, but like on the verge. And then I just didn't want to do drag until I had a mentor. Like, I didn't. I'd seen so many people go through like terribly awkward phases with it. And I was like, I don't want to be horrible for a year. I want to like kind of get going.
Yeah.
And then I was throwing parties in San Francisco. I like moved here, through some parties, and met Glamour via like Juanita, and then met Glamour, and then I was like, will you be my mother? And she was like, no! And then she taught me how to do makeup, and I hung out with her for all the time.
I won't be your mother, but I will teach you how to do
exactly.
makeup. Yeah.
And so then eventually she was like, okay, now you're my daughter. And then, so I learned makeup from her. I hung out with her in Hokumama Swamp a lot. And then, like, my name came from, I was changing my name all the time, because I was like trying stuff out. And I was doing, what was it, Charlie Horse, which was up at the Cinch thrown by Anaconda.
Okay.
And I told her that I wanted to be introduced as Tornado Fantasia. And she was like, no.
That's not you.
She's like, no, your name is Vivvyanne. That's what you used last time. And so she was on stage and she was like, this next performer keeps trying to change her name, and her name is Vivvyanne. Her name is Vivvyanne Forever. And then I got off stage and Glamour was like, well, looks like your name is Vivvyanne Forever. And then she was like, more. And that's when I became
that's a good story.
So that's where the like atrocity of that name comes from, is this long ass.
I thought you were like an Edgar Allan Poe fan or something. It's like,
it reads like that, and it's fine, but it's just like, it was just like actually a cute accrual of words. Yeah. And
when did Cornelius come in? Is that your Christian name?
Cornelius was my birth middle name.
Okay.
And so like my daytime name until now was Micah Sigourney, but that wasn't my legal name at all. And I started using that because I was doing drag, but also doing like choreography and performance stuff. And I was in this festival called This Is What I Want, which was a performance festival about queer desire. And my dad had just figured out how to Google.
Okay.
And so I like came up with a name to use. And It was
to hide it from your dad,
to
or
hide
to
it
make
from
you?
my
Okay.
dad. And so,
Gotcha.
and then it just stuck because I put it on all my socials, and people just started calling me Micah, and then I just stuck with it. So Cornelius is my old middle name, but now my normal full name.
Not to get too deep too early, but do you still hide certain things from your dad, or at least via Google?
Such a good question. No, he's amazing. He's like pretty great, and he's like come around a lot. He's an Irish immigrant, so that's why I just like it's not that I didn't want to like my dad to know how queer I was. It was more that I was like, I'd rather just like talk to you about other stuff and not have to deal with whatever that's going to be. And he, like, when I came out to him, he was totally fine. And then, like, he knows I do drag. And I've never been like, here's pictures, but, like, I just don't hide anything anymore. And so he knows that I do it. And he'll be like, how's your shows? How's the bar? All this stuff. So,
great. Can you do an Irish accent?
No.
I won't make you do one.
I could.
But if you wanted to, you could.
Now, boys. That's what my dad's like, now, boys. That's how it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Boys, plural. Yeah, brothers.
I have a twin.
That's right. I knew that.
Yes, I have a twin brother.
Do do thirst pictures too?
Actually, we did this. Juanita Moore took this picture of us together in her bed, just like with sheets up, and I think we didn't have shirts on, and we looked very similar at the time and much younger. And I'll dig that up and get it to you.
You've diverged in similarities.
We've diverged. It's as we've gotten older, we look less alike. And he used to be thicker and heavier, and now I am. And he is, he's like becoming a dad very soon, and he's just kind of like leaned into. I'm still like in the nightlife and pretty vain. And he's less vain than I am.
I understand what you mean.
So he's aging in a way that I wouldn't want to.
Oh, well, congratulations on becoming an uncle soon.
Thanks.
So you mentioned the Cinch. Was that your first gig?
That was one of my first drag gigs. It was that show, and then there was a few rock and roll parties, queer rock and roll parties that were thrown by these guys, Billy and George. And I did shows at their parties because they would always book Glamour or Hoku, and that was like my group that I was with. Yeah. And we would do Deco Lounge. Barracuda used to have drag at Deco Lounge.
You don't have to name years, but like circa when.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I think I started drag in 2000. I started nightlife in 2007, and I was throwing parties. Well, I started throwing parties, and then I met Glamour.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
then I was like, when you asked when I started doing drag, and I brought up 1995, I had been accumulating women's clothes since I was 15.
Wow.
Like, I moved to San Francisco with an ex, and I had a giant, like a really huge fucking box of like women's clothes that I just gathered from thrift stores wherever I lived, that I was like gonna use at some point.
What kind of women's clothes would you collect? Was Vivi starting to take form through your accumulation, or that kind of come later?
I mean, I think originally, like, I was like incredibly skinny, so it was like very narrow stuff, but like very 80s. Like, I had this like beautiful like pink washed out denim pencil skirt with a matching like drop shoulder jacket, things like that. But when I first started, I like was made fun of I like always wore like stockings but over like American Apparel underwear, cringe, and then like a jacket or something. But I was super broke, and so my thing was I was like, if my makeup is on point and I can lip sync, then I'm good. The rest is money. Yeah. And I just didn't have money, so I just did what I could. Yeah. Yeah. And so I was like, and I'd like, my wigs were all fucked, and it was kind of before the styling revolution that we're in now with the wigs, but like, it's like pieces of things stuck on my head and shit. Very inspired by Phonique too. Wow. Yeah.
So when did your relationship with the stud start?
Okay, so Vivi was born. I was performing at the Cinch a lot, and then I was also throwing a party called Tiara Sensation. Tiara Sensation was in different places, and it didn't have a hosted show. But it had a craft table. And then we moved to the Stud, and we were on Mondays at the Stud for like 2 years, every Monday. Wow. Which is a brutal night of the week to try to throw a party. Yeah. If you've been to Pillows, it has a very similar vibe. Yeah. And it was me, Glamour, and DJ Downey, and it was free. And we paid performers whatever we could. I think we got some of the bar or something. And it was just like fucking wild. It was just like weird as fuck. We would like decorate. We would pick weird ass themes. There was a night that we that kind of like took off called That's Not Drag, where people would just like do performances that weren't drag but were like kind of drag, that were just captivating and strange. So Tiara Sensation was for 2 years, and then that earlier show I called out, Charlie Horse, they were the Friday night drag show, but they ended because the Cinch got a noise complaint. Oh. And so then we were like, oh, and we jumped on Friday nights and became Club Something.
Oh, wow.
But we were very like in community vibes of like, we're not going to start a Friday night party when we perform at that one. That would be so fucked up. So we were very like respectful of territory at the time.
Yeah.
I think.
What, I guess, what was the lifespan of Club Something?
Club Something, it's hard to remember because we always like fudged numbers with it. So like after our first year, I think we called it like our 10th year anniversary. Like we always made jokes and stuff, but I think it was 8 years. I think it was about 8 years, seven or eight. But Tiara Sensation was 2 years prior, so like it was the same crew, similar party, different night of the week. Wow. So it was like, and that project actually started a year before we were at the Stud. So all in all, it was like closer to like 11 or 12 years.
And you also started Drag Alive, and it was a Friday slot, but different Friday vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Drag Alive. So you know how there's like bachelorette parties, and tourists.
I have no idea about.
Okay,
those.
so a tourist is someone who comes and visits your nation or your city or your country.
Oh yeah.
And they like are like just trying to take in the vibes.
Yeah.
And they like spend a lot of money.
Yes.
And so I was like, hey, Stud, we need to like get that fucking money. And so we were marketing it towards. It was also like I had like secret motives. So there was always like a little bit of queer education in it, like queer history, like we talked about, like Stonewall and the Compton's Cafeteria, and we had a bingo card that had like these different things on it, so like the audience could play like live bingo of like a nip slip or like and they learned how to be in a queer space. That was like my underground purpose, was to like train tourists, both like just straight people coming to a queer bar, how to behave. And then in a place where they could feel free and have fun without us being like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, so it was just like very fun. And so then tourists and bachelorette parties, we like really tried to get bachelorette parties and like birthdays and stuff like this. Just, it was a happy hour vibe.
Wow.
It was super cute. Hollywood was always like the door person. Jillian hosted, I hosted, Cochina hosted. We raised a bunch of money for St. James. It was great. You
translated that party, or that party kind of sublimated into Drag Alive digital.
Yes.
What was that transition like? And was it the same kind of project to educate tourists and get bride money?
Bride money. That just made me think of this one time. There was like a bachelorette in the audience before like gay marriage was fully legal, and I was like, oh, anyone celebrating anything? She's like, I'm getting married, and I was like, don't yell it too loud, girl. Like, wait, I can't.
Yeah.
But no, it was different. So like, the reason why Drag Alive went online was because it was one of the few events that like the Stud owned.
Yeah.
Like I had my own. I had Vivi's grand opening. I had Faces, but like, I wanted the Stud to have a presence online. At that time, because you know, we all like to gather there, so it made sense to just put it there. And then the main point of it was like, I don't know, I watched, I don't want to be shady, I watched the first few things that were happening online that were digital drag.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, if the tech was just a little bit tighter, this could be so much more entertaining.
Yeah. And
I also like hated and still don't love drag videos because they're music videos, and we've seen music videos. So at first I was trying to get people to do like one take and everything to like make it somewhat feel like it was live, and like Dolly did, and like went in and filmed this like really beautiful one take thing. Yeah. But no, so it was just kind of like I saw what was happening, and I was like, the Stud needs to keep our presence alive, for just like, at least for me, even if for everyone else. And then invited Jillian in because we're like best friends, and like I did not want to stare into the dead eye of a camera by myself. Yeah. Know? It's just like not funny.
And we don't need to talk about it for too long. We talked about it quite at length with Jillian, but it is commendable to say that, like to acknowledge that you did it for a whole year, over a year.
We did it for a little under a year.
A little under a year, but every week.
Every week.
Yeah.
Every week. We took like a few days off in October.
Mm-hmm.
Or like she did and then I did. Yeah.
What kept it going?
Desperation, sadness. I don't know. For me, it was like, I think what it was for me was I hear reflected back a lot, which is, it was a thing to look forward to.
Yeah, we say that in this household.
Really?
We were a Set Alive household.
Oh,
we
really?
watched it every single week. Yeah.
Drag Alive every week.
So at the time, Angel and I actually lived like 2 blocks away from each other. So they would host and we'd come over every single
Oh my God, that's
every
so
single
amazing.
week to watch.
Yeah, it was required viewing. We sat down. We sat down and like were seated every week for that show, and it was like the thing we looked forward to.
Oh my God, that means so much to me.
I mean, part of the charm was I think you picked really good videos. I don't know how you like sourced or curated, you know, the artists that you platformed, but also just like I think the hosting and the interstitial moments really kind of were it was comforting.
Yeah. Thanks. That's it's people come up to me like even like 2 weeks ago. Someone came up to me who I don't know who was like, "Oh my God, Drag Alive did it," and it's crazy because at the time like we could see how many viewers we had and all this, but like then like the show's over and you turn it off and you're like literally alone staring into like a light box and you're like a soft box and you're like, what? Like what has happened? It was so cool, but also like weirdly alienating at the same time to be the entertainer because we could kind of read the chat. It was like hard to keep up, but then you never really meet the audience.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, that's why like God bless Jillian because I was like, I really can't do this alone. And she really just like jumped in. It was amazing. And Jerry Lee is incredible to work with, like such an angel.
Just like as an audience member, like every time we were watching Drag Live, I would always be in the chat on Twitch, and like every week I'd be like, I have to say the funniest thing because they have, like, you would say things that people are saying in the chat.
Yeah.
Like I need them to say what my comment.
That's so great.
Mine has to be the funniest.
I love that. That's good. That's what we were trying to figure out how to provoke people to be involved because that's what we all needed, right?
Yeah. There are things where it's just like I feel like the paradigm of the pandemic and doing everything digitally, we're always trying to like chase or replicate what was happening live, like in a live show, and then transitioning back to like live, like the one vestige of like pandemic era digital drag. It's just like, how do we get that chat back? You know, just like having that chat interface was like really kind of a dimension to like enjoying drag and being in community that I don't think we've like figured out how to do aside from like whispering to the person next to you. Yeah.
But I mean that's what I did like about the chat is like whenever I'm at a drag show I'm always just like, oh my God, Lisa, did you hear this? Oh my God, blah, blah, did you hear? Blah, blah, like constantly like a little running thing. But you said this thing about how did we pick the videos?
Oh yeah.
Do you cast shows a lot? Do you?
I ran a show at Port Bar for a little under 2 years, and then I'm currently hosting a show with Kai B. Michaels in Berkeley. K. Cole, you should come. We are sold out of pre-sales. Oh, actually, you know, this is immaterial because this episode is going to come out afterwards. But yes, I do curate shows, and it's and I did for a short while curate digital shows, but they're like Instagram Live, like the lowest form of really digital drag is a digital like a Instagram live show. And I did it I looked back because I was like looking at pictures. I did it for like 6 weeks. I don't know how I like did an Instagram live show for 6 weeks.
Wild.
It's very demeaning. But it's different. I guess I do curate shows, but not like digital shows. How is that for you?
It was so hard. I learned to like cast shows from Glamour, which is like a very not meticulous, but specific process of like balancing the show, like the flavors within the show, like which is like not just like are you, it's okay, we have a weirdo, we have like a fierce queen, like these, we didn't have these categories, but like really like trying to create the most dynamic show possible when live, so that like, and even being like, okay, I know this is like, this person's doing a ballad, we're gonna put them over here, you know, just like this. And I don't think people think too much about like how that happens, and I've been to shows where it's like clearly people don't think too much about how it happens, but like if you work with what you have, with who you cast, you can create like a super dynamic show. Yeah. And if you rearrange that order, you could actually fuck up your night. Yeah. And with the online, it was super tough because we were getting videos from people, so you never know exactly what it's going to be. It was so brand new. But oftentimes I would ask people if I saw someone, like, I mean, I barely knew you, but I was a big Instagram fan, and I was like, oh, well, clearly good at making beautiful things, so like, let's get that person. So it became more of a like, who is really good at image making, and then like, who's going to be a total mess, and how do we put them in the same show? Yeah. And also them wanting to also like represent the world we want to see at the Stud, which is like full of lots of different people doing lots of different things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. One of my takeaways from digital era drag, which has a lot of influence on like this podcast, because it makes me like reminisce about it a lot and think about it, but also it's just like a big chunk of our existence for a while, was that if you're good at generally, I'm not saying it was always the case, but generally, if you were good at drag live, I feel like you were good at digital drag as well. Did you get that sense?
Like if someone was good at performing live, they were good at digital?
Or if someone like cared about, you know, or it was like detail oriented in their in performing live, then that kind of translated to.
I think it's a certain flavor though. It's not like, because I love people who are like, we call it living the dream. Yeah. Who are like, you know, you're there for like the feeling.
The fantasy.
Living and like that doesn't always translate to video.
That's true.
But sometimes it like miraculously does. But like I think the cool part is like I saw Major Hammy perform at Princess for some night, and he had this amazing video behind him, and I was like, who made your video? And he was like, I did. I learned it during the pandemic. So like that kind of thing where people became more visually oriented. Who like, and Hammy's like a phenomenal performer and doesn't need visuals. Who cares? But like people became hyper aware of visuals and how to like enhance their performance in a way. But I only made like 3 videos the whole time, because I only ever tried to do one-take videos. Yeah. Because that was what was interesting to me. I thought it was funny and silly to do one-take videos.
I made over 30.
That's
which is kind of like crazy to me, but it's like because if you asked me to make a digital drag video now, I would probably say
no way.
No. Yeah. Actually, the last digital drag video I made was for you.
For me, for that Christmas thing.
The Christmas thing.
Yeah, and I mean I still do this like digital bingo Christmas and Pride thing, which has videos in them, and I didn't get any this year, sorry, but
I was gonna say, it's like you booked me 2 years ago for that, and then I randomly got like a check last December. I was like, where is this from? And then I just like I had to like think about it. Like, oh that's nice.
Yeah, but like and it's actually really fun. It's still a super fun way to like enter into corporate America.
Wait, so you didn't book any this year? Do you think that has to do with kind of like the Target Pride backlash and
interesting,
and you know, like corporations not wanting to spend money on?
That's a good question.
Pink washing this year.
Lisa Frankenstein is here. Last year, Lisa Frankenstein and I were invited to Cliff Bar. I'll say it, Cliff Bar, to do a bingo gig, and it was fine. We were emailing back and forth. What do you want? And they had this whole trivia bingo they wanted to do, which was fine, whatever. And then they were like, "Do you want to perform?" And we were like, "Sure." And they were like, "Oh, we don't want you to perform." And we were like, "Okay." And then we show up, and there's like almost 0 people there. And the person we meet, she's like, "Yeah, we were just purchased by a larger corporation, and so I heard that you're not performing, but I'm gonna pretend that I didn't know you're not performing, so you can perform." And we were like, "Wait, what's happening?" And she was like, "Basically, the reason why they didn't want you to perform is because there's this bigger corporation that bought them was scared of having drag performance at their company. They had actually, like, the tea was they had hired maybe like a Rue girl to visit their headquarters, and they had her do a Q&A."
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Weird and wild, right?
Oh my God, Cliff Bar!
But I mean,
Are we allowed to? You didn't sign an NDA or anything.
I didn't
We're not going to
sign
get you in
NDA,
trouble.
The thing that's a bummer is that Cliff, the people who work there really, really loved working there. And it's like a Bay Area based company, and they were like just bought out.
Yeah.
And it was during all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And we were like, do you want us to perform or not? Like, it was such a strange, because they wanted us to, but they didn't want to get in trouble. It was so bonkers.
And this happened recently?
This is last
year?
Pride.
Last Pride? That is so sad and painful.
So weird.
We had a friend, I didn't sign any NDAs, but we had a friend that was tapped to do a Target collection because he's like a illustrator.
Wow.
And so they tapped him like the year prior. So he spent like the whole year kind of like generating kind of a whole kind of like launch of different things like beach towels, posters, paraphernalia, like whatever, you know, that they sell at Target. And then it was supposed to launch this year, but then it was canceled. Like, it was just like, oh, actually, we're not going to do it anymore. And the way that they do it is that they actually don't pay you up front. Like
way.
Yeah, it's like you get paid for what gets bought at the particular stores, and because they canceled it. He has all this material. Well, now he could like sell it on his own, but I mean, like that's like bonkers. It's fucked up.
That's really fucked up.
Fuck Target and Cliff Bar.
It also just shows like how much of this like pink washing was happening anyway. Like, it's just like so rampant. Like I've always been like, even at Club Something in particular, and not at the Stud, like I try not to say Pride. I always say it's Queer Revolution Month, it's Queer Liberation Month, it's queer whatever, because like Pride had been co-opted so already, and then last year felt like it was just like this, like the whole Target thing. It was just like, oh, come on, y'all. Obviously, it's been going on for years and years. Yeah. And the Bud Light thing. Yikes.
Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to take a little break.
What?
I know.
Do you have to pee?
I just need another drink, actually. No, we take periodic breaks just to reset and stuff. And
reset our mic up?
Yeah, reset our mic. And an opportunity to put in some sponsors if we ever get any. So far, we do. Yeah.
And Target.
And Target.
And Bud Light.
Yeah, so if you want to sponsor us, if you're into pink washing, let us know in the comments. Okay, we're going to take a short break.
I love it.
Welcome back from our Target commercial. We're talking with Vivvyanne Forevermore. Just Vivi.
Just
Vivi.
Whatever.
Just Vivi.
Just Vivi. I know that reference.
So we talked a little bit about the Stud.
Yes.
And the Stud, you had a funeral for the Stud.
We had a funeral for the Stud.
The Stud passed away.
The Stud passed away.
Now has been resurrected, or is in the throes of being resurrected, coming back. What was that like to say goodbye to the Stud amidst COVID? Oh
my God, Phoebe, hard hitting question. That was so intense because we did. It was a funeral. We were doing a funeral, which was
actually, let's back up a little bit because I feel like some people that are watching don't even know what the Stud is.
Okay.
You know. So what is the Stud? How did it become a collective? And then what? And then bring us to the present.
So the Stud was a bar that was opened in 1966 on Folsom Street at a place that was currently called the Holy Cow, that has a cow hanging in front of it still. And the Stud was opened as a cowboy fetish bar because it was leather. It was mile of leather bars and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so it was meant to be a cowboy bar or like cowboy fetish, whatever. And it very quickly turned into like just a queer bar. Like it was like a lot of hippies and women would go there, and it became pretty mixed racially pretty early on as well. And so then in 2016, the owner of the Stud, whose name at the time was Michael McElhaney, was like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I can't do it anymore, but I love you. He had a community meeting. He's like, I love you. And I like, this is what's happening. And so he was like, I'm going to bounce. And so me and Little Jam and Nate Albee and John Cartwright were like, huh, we got to do something. And we were like, we're going to make a collective. And then we started pulling people in. Wow. And we formed the first worker-owned cooperative queer bar entity in the United States, still the only. And we're a worker-owned cooperative. Mm-hmm. And the reason we chose this worker-owned cooperative structure is because capitalism sucks. And one of the ways that you can leverage capital and a reputation and relationship is by being a cooperative. And so the cooperative structure means that we all work at the bar in some capacity or another. and then profits are shared among the worker owners.
Yeah.
Like there's like health food stores like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an amazing project. And then we had to close in 2020 because of the pandemic. And we wanted to back out of our lease because if we stayed on the lease by the end of the year, we would have had like $70,000 of debt. And it wasn't positioned to have a parklet or anything because of the corner it was on. So they let us out of our lease, which was amazing. And we had a funeral. And it was the decision to have a funeral was first, the decision to close was like really hard.
Yeah.
There's 17 owners and it was strategic, right? Like we didn't want to take on debt, and we knew the landlord wanted us out eventually anyway. We were on a month to month. It was long ass complicated stuff. And so it was really emotional to like talk to all of us and be like, we have to close, and then be like, oh my God, we have to tell everyone that we are closing the stud after we worked so hard to like keep it open. And then we decided to have a funeral, which was like, not everyone loved the idea because it felt so like grand, but it was actually, it ended up being really perfect because people needed to move through it somehow.
Yeah.
So that's how we got to the funeral. The funeral for me, as one of the producers of Drag Alive, was receiving everyone's video because we like cast part of it, and then it was anyone who sent us a video. So I received all of the videos and watched all of the videos, and in that position also, as the one who was like more public facing at the time, I also had encountered a lot of people's hard feelings about us closing, and had to do a lot of community work or emotional labor around people's feelings about us closing. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was super tough.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the right thing to do. I'm really glad we did it because we had a moment of like that's what funerals are for. It's to like come together in grief and be like, this thing is over now for now. And we knew that we would come back, and it's a better story to come back than to be like kind of holding on and like biting our nails for a year, 3 years, instead of just like, well, we had a funeral for the stud. It's not going to be at that building anymore. Yeah. But the stud has a history of moving. This is the second time it'll be moved. Yeah. So,
how much about the process of getting the stud back do you want to share with us?
We had to change legislation.
What does that mean?
So Folsom Street had been turned into a non-entertainment area, like meaning they weren't allowing new entertainment businesses to open. It was via some community activists, like residents were like, we don't want this to be an entertainment district. So the bar that we purchased was called Radius, or the business we purchased. They only had a license that let them be open till midnight, but also they weren't allowed to be open later because there were no new entertainment licenses happening. So for us to move in and open an entertainment business, we had to go through the supervisors, the district supervisors of San Francisco, and get legislation changed so that we could open a new entertainment business in the area. Wow. And Folsom, that stretch of Folsom from where we are now, which is going to be Folsom and 7th, to where Oasis is, was an entertainment district. And so that was an incredible amount of hard work, mostly done by Rachel Ryan and Nate Albee. And then not just that, we had to change legislation, but we had to buy the business, we had to renegotiate a lease, and we have to resubmit our entertainment license and our liquor license so we can stay up until 2 a.m. It's an insane amount. Hi, there's a dog here. There's a puppy. This puppy play. I'm getting a blowjob under this.
Oh no, Icarus! I told you no.
But so it was a lot. It's still a lot of work. Yeah, it's insane. It's. I think what I would hope anyone who hears about the stud and all of this journey we're on is like, it's really hard to open a bar in San Francisco. Yeah, it's really, really hard, and that's why we're doing a fundraiser, because we don't have millionaires backing us. Yeah, and we're like. And we only want to do one fundraiser in the rest of our life. So we were like, now's the time. So
yeah, you talk about like legislation change, and I feel like Airbnb does that all the time, but like they have like billions of dollars.
They change legislation?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just assuming that they do.
They must, right?
They must,
yeah. And we had to change legislation to so people can make less noise complaints, which is really hard in San Francisco right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like people moved in down the block from DNA and started complaining about sound. It's just like, it's a tough time, and it was major that they let us do that, or it was major that we were able to make it happen, so that we can open.
Do you want to tell our viewers about the fundraiser that's
Sure.
ongoing? Yeah.
It's at givebutter.com. It's like, I think it's the return of the stud. We could probably put links somewhere.
Yeah, we'll put a link up. Yeah.
And also, if you are someone who wants to give a huge amount, we also have a program that's now fiscally sponsored by Counterpulse called Stud Arts. And so we could take tax-deductible donations as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, let's segue a little bit. I want to, I guess, learn more about your process as like a drag performer and an artist. I feel like you kind of have a discernible or noticeable pedagogical approach, I think, to doing art. Is that fair?
No,
that
it's
sounds
good.
pejorative. I was trying to like.
No,
come
it's
up
not
with the word.
pejorative. But
No,
I want to know
I
what
don't
you
think
mean.
it is either.
What do you mean by pedagogical?
I don't know what I mean. Maybe this part of it is knowing that I know you've gone away to school to kind of like further your craft in art making.
Sure.
So maybe that's informed kind of like how I receive the way you talk about it. But I don't know. It's just you talk about it with maybe like bits and pieces of jargon, but also just like with a seamless eloquence where like that informs me that you think about it a lot.
Seamless eloquence sounds like an undergarment company.
Oh,
my jokes are not coming tonight. I don't know what's happening.
No, we'll put laughs underneath.
Oh,
it.
perfect.
Yeah. We have a laugh track.
I'm like, when I say the word funeral, just laughs
Yeah.
the whole time, every time. Seamless
You know?
eloquence sounds like an undergarment company.
Oh.
So what do you want to know about my art making?
No, just about your process and any schooling that you've done for it. You know.
I love being in the audience of stuff. I love it. I love it so much. It inspires me. It makes me think, like, I said that phrase, other things are possible, earlier when I met, what's her name? When I bought makeup from, who did I buy?
Rita, no.
Amanda Lepore, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, other things are possible. Being in audiences, like, turns me on. Like, like not just, like, I mean, I don't, like, walk around with a boner.
Yeah.
Or do I? But I get very wet, and I get really excited, and I have a lot of ideas. So I've always loved seeing live performance, or just art in general. Like, it just opens my brain up in a way that feels beautiful to me. And so when I was a kid, when I was 4, origin stories, my dad took me to see like children's theater of like Peter Pan, and I was like, oh, I want to be Peter Pan. I was like a faggot. And I was like, I want to wear clothes and fly, or make people think I fly, like whatever it was. And my mom was like, oh, I'll sign you up for theater classes. And I was like, what? And then she did. And I'm not someone who loves attention.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right? But like I'm not like an extrovert who's like, I need the attention on me. Like my relationship to attention is very like, I want attention when I say get attention, and it's like here and here and here. Otherwise, I love to be in the back of the room. I love to like watch and like read the room and like talk to my friends about what's happening, as opposed to being like in the middle of it. And so when I was 4, I started studying acting and theater, and I was very shy, and I didn't like being in front of people, but I really liked the things that I was learning. And I eventually got to be in Peter Pan, but not be Peter Pan. I was like a pirate.
Smee.
I was Smee. I was Smee. I was totally Smee. I was like not very talented. And so like, but like they were like, okay, whatever. We need like a man-shaped person, a boy-shaped person to do a thing. And I just stuck with it through high school. We didn't have theater at my school. We had an after-school program. And I just like became a nerd about it. And so like there's like deeply just a nerd about it. Like it was the thing I thought about, how to do it better. What is it? What is even live performance? It's so ephemeral. And it's always depends on a relationship with an audience, and who's present, who's not. And is it raining outside? And like it's so like unmanageable in a way. And so like, that's where it started. And then I went to school for acting for 2 years. And then I was like living in Manhattan. I was like in school for acting, and like my friends were auditioning for toothpaste commercials. And I was like, ugh, fuck. this. I'm not auditioning for toothpaste commercials.
Did you not have good teeth?
I mean, I am of Irish descent, so no. Did you not have good teeth? That's fierce. No, I just don't like auditioning. I don't like asking people for.
Oh,
to
auditioning's
like
the worst.
Yeah, and I'm also like not great at it. I'm like more of a like, if you see me do the thing, you might like me, but like in like that situation. So I just like I bounced, and I went to school in Ohio for a few years, and then I ended up out here. And I always had, when I was younger, like I said, I met Amanda Lepore, and like I always had one foot in the nightlife. I loved nightlife. It also gave me the same vibe of seeing theater or seeing live art. And so I guess like I brought to drag this intense nerdism around performance and thinking about it and dreaming about it, which a lot of people don't think so deeply about, and that's totally fine. It's just the thing that I like really do. And it's the thing that I can. It's like as I've gotten older, I've been like, oh my god, I have like no skills in the world, but I'm like, this thing I can talk about. And so like you said, like now I'm in grad school. I'm getting my master's in choreography, which is more like performance. It has a lot of queer semiotics in it. It's like very like
semiotics.
We're
gonna put a
study of
definition underneath.
Symbols and signs. The signaling. So yeah, that's where it comes from. Like I'm very heady, which also when I was a kid as an actor gets in your way 100%. Like being stuck. I was like not the best actor because I was like really in my head so much, and it was like through years of like just getting on stage in a dress and a wig and trying to talk to people that I like finally figured out how to get out of my head and like be in the moment more. Yeah. And that's what they always said in acting school. They were like, you have to go live life. You can't just you can just act. You have to like go do stuff.
Being in the moment is like very difficult.
So hard.
And it's one of those things where like you don't, you take for granted when you like get into a rhythm of being able to do it, but you have to like practice at it. Like interviewing is like very hard. So hard. And watching myself is like excruciatingly cringe, you know. It's just because I could see myself think. But sometimes when I'm in a good spot, like I could like really be in the moment and be like in tune with like the person I'm interviewing, and then I won't do it for a while, and then I try to do it, and it's like, how do you do that anymore? But
what's the hardest part about interviewing?
The hardest part is listening and being able to like guide while also just being in the moment. You know, it's just like if you're trying to guide but you're not listening, it just feels so forced. And so it's like a lot of it's like lovemaking, you know, which I'm pretty good at. No.
Anybody
out there?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, come on.
Okay. Quite on set.
Lovemaking. I haven't made love for a very long time.
So you talked a lot about your project so far. So you've hosted a lot of shows.
Yes.
You're currently producing this thesis project. What would you call it?
Yeah, it's my master's presentation.
Presentation. Okay.
I have this other show that's like for kitchen tables that I'm hopefully going to do here at a kitchen table.
So so you have the kitchen table show. We'll talk about that a little later because I do want to talk about that. Yeah. But you also like did Gaggle and
Gaggle, yes.
Yeah, and then so you're even like, oh yeah, I did do that.
Yeah, I forget all the time when
and then you most recently did the show. So how many projects do you juggle? What are the projects? Where do these projects come from?
That's a great question.
And what are the projects on the horizon? I guess?
So I have this is like a very career kind of question. Do people care about my career?
Absolutely.
Okay, Lisa's giving me a hard. Oh, that's my phone. I just shit on the
floor.
Dildo
just fell out of his pocket.
Girl, so loose in here. So I work in the nightlife. I bartend. I throw parties, and then I also have an art career. Yeah. My art career is I get funding from San Francisco Arts Commission, California Arts Council, grants for the arts, and these different places. I apply for a lot of money. I apply all of the time, and I get turned down all of the time. I just got a rejection 2 days ago. I get turned down more than I get accepted, which is typical. But I have a pretty good track record. And so one of the projects that comes back a lot. It was called Work More. It's going to be morphing now. Yeah. But Work More was part of Gaggle Royale, which is like, I call it this is so jargony, but it's like, it's a a commissioning program that brings people together in new collaborative constellations, and it particularly focuses on uplifting and supporting drag artists working with each other or with artists of other genres. And that just came out of
grant writers, grant writers, but grant readers like probably love Constellation a lot.
Oh, they love Constellation.
What a buzzword!
Constellation's good, right? Because it's like not quite, it's not quite community, but it's like relational.
Yeah, that's good. Write that down.
Right? Yeah, put Constellation down. Just like Constellation. So I've created this program called Work More, and it basically was like I wanted to get funding to pay artists to do what they're already doing, but like in a little bit of an assignment way, in the way like when we go to a drag show, we might have a theme that we have to do. Yeah. I love a theme. I love a good limit. I love a good thing to like react against, to subvert, to fuck with. Like it's some kind of boundary to like play with.
People think that prompts are like limiting, but I actually, learning how to like puncture and rupture kind of like parameters.
Oh my God.
Is like, that's part of the creative process.
Well, and the prompt also automatically brings the audience in on a common idea. Like they're like, it's a Madonna night. So then when someone does like Patsy Cline instead, you're like, oh, what's happening? You know what I mean? There's already stakes built in. It's like a really good mechanism to bring an audience together. Yeah. But so mechanism to bring an audience together, like murder me. So
love it.
So Work More is one of those projects, and so Gaggle Royale was Work More, and it took the idea of a pageant, and it messed with it more internally, which was like it paid everybody, and it paid them on time and in advance, hopefully, and it was asking them to represent a party, but also then to work collaboratively. So like drag artists already work collaboratively a lot. Like we make a lot of solo work. We perform often by ourselves, but like getting your wig done, it is community work. It is collaborative, and it's usually not just like I email someone I don't know to do a wig. I know that's like more practice these days, but like there's like you learn things from people you're around and they support you and etc. Like Lisa's here right now during this podcast. Is my friend and drag daughter. So so that's what Work More was. So like that's more about like career stuff. So I have this like art career that's producing other people. That's what the show was. It was like this giant Work More of like mass scale and totally bonkers. So like I think the question was like, what do I have on the horizon now?
Or just if you want to talk about your other projects.
Yeah.
Before we go to the horizon, like one of the other, I think it was Work More, was the film festival you had, which was like amazing. You had 2 viewings, I believe, right?
Yeah.
We went to the one that was
in Oakland, in
Oakland, in the
so
lot.
Cute.
It was like really one of the coolest things I saw.
Oh my God, that just came out of. So that was Lisa was in that. It was Lisa, Churro, Eartha Cunt, Nikki Jazz, obviously. So actually, that was a project that was actually not that at all. Yeah. But the pandemic happened, so we changed it. It was actually this. So I threw a party called Grand Opening for like a year, 2 years.
Oh yeah, I also love that.
Grand Opening was a show that was a cast-based show, and it was monthly. And there was one that I did with Lisa, Intensive Claire, Churro, and Martha T. Lipton, where we brought an audience. I want to redo it. It's so fucking fun. Did you see it? It's
really cool. We were there.
Oh my God.
So like when I began drag, we were going out to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And Grand Opening was one of the shows that I tried my best to like get to. And that particular show was just kind of like, was just so good. It was kind of like choose your own adventure, but like the audience was really part of it. I don't even know how to explain it.
We like auditioned an audience member. We auditioned. We invited.
What was his name?
We gave him a name, like Joe or something. We had a name for the character, but we auditioned the audience, and we'd like rehearsed like 4 times, and we were like, okay, this is what we're looking for. Like we had a plan. Yeah. And we got an audience member, and then we had like a narrative with different numbers, and they were in some of the numbers doing duets and solos. And we like covered their mouth with beards, or like we gave them cue cards, or we had someone in a Zentai suit, that was Lisa, doing their mouth. Yeah. So it was a way to like bring in the audience in this like really direct way that also like was kind of risky for us as performers, because like they could have done the dude we got was like perfect.
Go with the flow.
He wasn't like someone who needed all the attention in the world. He was just going with the flow. He was just like humble, but also like down, and like it was perfect. And so I had gotten an art grant from the Arts Commission to produce that. and like do it as a cabaret and then hopefully tour it because it's like very tourable.
Yeah.
But like then pandemic hit and I was like, oh shit, now what? And then everyone's doing drag videos, so I made a film festival.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. It was like everyone got to show off and be really great. And we have these videos they have art pieces from. So yeah, so like a big part of my work till now has been to like really work in community. I don't love saying the word community, but like in relationship with people to like, I just love being around people and I love watching drag. It's so funny and fun and ridiculous. And I like want to keep seeing it. So that's where a lot of that came from. Yeah. Just like the desire. And the thing is, I have less desire to make things because a lot of the things I want to see in the world, people are doing now. And maybe it's because there's Instagram and I get to see too much stuff at one time. But when I started, I was like, I just want to, there's things I want to see that I haven't seen yet. And that's why I was making stuff. And now I'm like, I've seen a lot of the things already. And so there's a way in which I've stepped back a little bit from producing stuff because I'm like, oh, people are already doing the thing I want to see. So I don't need to, it's not about like, I want to do it to get fame and money and whatever. I just want to see the art. Right. And so like, now I'm like, oh, people are kind of doing it. So I don't need to do, like Churro did, We Build Houses here at Oasis, which I got to be part of. I was one of the like guest directors. So I was in the
very cool.
Yeah, in the collaborative team for it and like helped create it and shape it. And like I'm like, oh, that's great. I would love to do an immersive theater thing. I'm like, actually, I don't need to because there's someone doing the thing. So to me, it's not about this like authoring the thing and making it happen. It's more about like wanting to see stuff happen. Yeah. And like the artist talks at the show that you were part of, we don't really get to see that. So I was like, oh, cool. That's what I want to see in the world. Is like more conversations between drag artists who aren't like on RuPaul's Drag Race necessarily, but like who are like making things happen nearby and who are just like weird and different and strange. Yeah.
I love that. What I'm hearing is just like, you know, being such a consumer and enthusiast and champion of drag, it really makes it easy to kind of like step to the side too and just like, you know, platform other people and do things.
Yeah, I've never had the gene of like wanting to, like I said, I didn't start acting because I wanted to be the center of attention. And I'm like from the 90s when it was like embarrassing to say that you were cool. So like the idea of being like Vivi, like I have a decent reputation in San Francisco and even people from around know me because we were the Friday night party with Club Something for a while. I'm part of the Stud. Like I have a name, but I'm not good at like marketing my brand or my name because to me it's never been about my brand or my name or being famous. It's been about like getting enough money to work with people in a fun way. Yeah. Which is probably to my detriment in a way. You know what I mean? Like if I was better at marketing myself, I could probably get more money to do the things I want, but yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's tragic too though.
Do you ever find out who gets the grant over you?
Oh yeah, totally. In San Francisco, it's all public. So you get to see. Yeah. You get to see.
Are you ever like, I deserve that over that person? You don't have to say names or anything.
100% for sure.
Oh, okay.
But it's usually more like when it's like you're competing against like like an organization that has like a really good grant writer, and you're like, of course they got it. They paid someone this one. But no, in general, like in San Francisco, actually, like hot tip, if you live in San Francisco and you have an address and you want to apply for an arts grant, hit me up. I will tell you anything you need to know. And also, the funding pool isn't so big, so they end up funding between like, whenever I've watched their panels, it's like 40% of the people, 30 to 40% get it.
Wow,
which is pretty high.
If anybody has a San Francisco address that
that she could buy from you,
that I could buy from you.
It's actually a really robust program that was set up by activists in the 90s.
That's very cool.
Queer activists who were like, "You're only funding the ballet," and they were like, "Wait, what?" And then they made this whole thing.
But SF Ballet is kind of cool. So.
It's great. I mean, it should get money, but they don't need public money. They got plenty of old.
I mean, like. Technique-wise, they're not that good, but, you know, ideas, you know, I love what they do.
I love their ideas. You know what? I love the idea of your eyebrows, but what you've done with your eyebrows is a whole other thing. The concept of eyebrow is strong with you, but the execution is weak.
So what is on the horizon?
Well, I'm finishing school. And I'm doing this presentation with Gabrielle Earthicon, and it will be showing in the Bay Area later in the year. So like in the fall of next year. So there's that. Stud's opening. I have like 2 party concepts I want to do. So I'll be doing a party or 2.
We've been asking people party concepts. If
really?
you're
Mine
like
are not-
tight-lipped,
Mine aren't
about
very,
it.
very broad. I want to do a night that's like dance music focused with a performance that I'm going to say it because it's not innovative. Where it's like 20 minutes of like at midnight, it's like 20 minutes of Phoebe doing like the fiercest Phoebe for 20 minutes and dance, cruise, blowjobs, oral, cunnilingus. You know what I mean? That's what I want. I want it to be like
that's the perfect spot for all those things.
That's what I want. I want it to be like we're here to like vibe and have fun, and then like there's this like beautiful gem box of a moment that happens. That's what I want. Yeah, that's the concept. It's not very unique. Yeah, but I'm just like I love shows, but like there's sometimes where I'm like, is this show still happening? I want to like cruise or talk. You know?
Yeah. Last week, Jillian asked me if I had any show ideas, and I really couldn't remember any of them. I have like one show idea, which is just ballads, but like it's not a new concept, but it's like only ballads, like Park and Bark. Like, I love like a Park and Bark night where like you don't even have to like think about doing the Manhattan 8. Is that what it's called?
What's the
8
What is?
Yeah.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah,
oh
so it's
my
like
god.
Potter beret,
Stop
windmill, donkey kick.
Oh my god, donkey kick. I wish that was my name.
Yeah.
But Jillian did a night at Pillows once where it was you had
Just
to stay sitting.
Yeah, stay sitting.
Oh my god.
Seated, yeah.
I loved it.
So something along those lines, but it's just like no, it's just like only about serving lyrics.
That
and
would
like
be gorgeous.
And then the other one that I couldn't remember was a court of public opinion night or like court night. Like what would we call it? I forget.
Court.
Like drag court, where it's just like you could bring a case and it's just like it's just like the people versus like drag performer name. It's like I'm not gonna say what it is, but and then it's just like so opening statements would be drag numbers, testimonies would be drag numbers, closing statements, and then the verdict would be like a big drag number.
That's real.
So and you could just like bring you could subpoena people. You know what I mean? It's like so like people would book themselves like I want to bring this person to court, and they would have to like.
But
bring
what if
people.
they're like, well, it's not a real court. I don't have to go.
That's.
Cancel them.
Cancel them. Yeah.
Cancel them.
We're working on changing the legislation.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I hope we can be a model for you. But I just hope we can be a model for you. Gross. I wanted. Oh shit. I really wanted to do like a live intervention where someone's performing and you're like, nope, stop, wait. Can you do this, and this different, but start over? But I don't know if that would keep an audience. But I really want to do like a consensual feedback in the moment. To like, because I'm like I said, I'm a performance nerd. So if someone did that at a club, I'd like gag.
Yeah. Oh, that's another idea I had. Sorry. Now the ideas are coming to me. Like,
come on.
The night is called Tempo, and like people would send their tracks in, but some like the DJ would just like speed up or slow down the track in the middle of their song, and they would just have to perform it that way.
That's fucking good. Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah,
that's so funny. That would continue to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like that slow. Oh my god.
And you have to but the gals have to like plan a real full number and then like deal with it.
Yeah.
That would be so good. Good. The gals.
Okay, we're going to take another break and we're going to come up with more ideas. This is a brainstorming session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no bad idea in a brainstorm. Just lightning. My sticky thoughts. My dangerous love. I don't know. Viruses? Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Please.
Quiet,
right? No. You and your daughter keep doing that. Whatever that is. Yeah. That's weird.
Some improvisation. Some sexual talk, improvisation, dirty talk. I don't know.
So when I tapped you to do this, you sent me some things that you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Very sparse notes. I had to like do some deciphering. So this is what I think.
I thought you were gonna come back at me and be like, "But what do you mean?" Yeah, but no, I didn't get that.
No. I don't. I like a prompt and I need to push up against it. Okay, good. So it's my interpretation. No. One of the things about being a drag persona is that there's like a public facing like part of you, but also that is somewhat of a reflection of who our private selves are, but not always kind of like a direct analog or representation. So, I mean, you have multiple front-facing personas.
Yeah.
Cornelius, Micah, Vivi, Vivvyanne Forevermore. Yeah. So how do you, what is the relationship to the person during the day you are, or your non-nightlife, or real person in your relationship to all of these other kind of, masks?
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of touched on it before by saying I was never an attention person, which is, I understand how ridiculous that is, because I know I'm in the business of needing people's attention to like make art. Like a painter paints and then puts it on the wall and like walks away, but we need people to pay literal attention to us. But like in private, like I don't like attention, and I don't like being perceived. like I have a strong desire to not be perceived.
Okay.
And so it's like, that's only gotten more and more since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened, but I like suddenly was like, oh, I don't want to be looked at. I don't want to be seen. Go on.
Oh, just I think about that because like I always want to be seen, and I feel like I'm almost never seen. Part of that is like birth order for me. I'm a middle child. Yeah. So it's like baby gets attention, like oldest gets attention, middle child forgotten. Right. I need it, and that's part of it. Probably the other part of it is just kind of like a social, kind of like a trauma blocking protective mechanism, where it's just like, oh, I'm like small and effeminate and brown, and like having attention means that I'm like safe and I could like,
people, people see you, like,
see me.
So they see you, and then also they'd see if you were in danger.
Yeah. But that's interesting. I mean, I don't know.
Like for me, like, I mean, I need to be around people. Like the other thing is like, I'm not good when I'm completely alone. Like if I live alone in a tiny little apartment, and if I don't talk to someone in person before 5 p.m., it's like the day's not going to go well, because I just end up with like my own dark thoughts. So I need to like see someone to like co-regulate or whatever. But like the desire to be like in front of people, it's like I said, like I became a nerd about performance, and like I started acting not because I wanted to be on stage. I don't think I understood like what being on stage was. I just knew that I wanted to be Peter Pan. I was like 5. And like then I was like, oh, the only way to like wear these costumes is to have to do it in front of people. And I was like, okay, if that's the thing I have to do, that's what I'll do. So yeah, in private, I'm like, I don't like, and also the thing I said, like, I'm not great about self-promotion, or like, it's more about like being together. So like in private, I'm like very much don't want to be seen, just want to be in the background, just want to like have my ideas and my thoughts, and then like not take up too much space. Yeah, it's weird. Maybe it's not weird, but also at the same time, like, because of the collapsing of like the personhood and public and like the artist and whatever, like we have to constantly be seen and be like cultivating attention, because I mean, phones, Instagram, etc., blah blah blah.
In recent years, or not even in recent years, like one thing that I think about, like even, well, celebrity, but also like even as a local celebrity or someone with like a social media presence, is that kind of like reflection or bleed through of the private life into the persona. And I think about people like Florida Man and even Kachina, whose kind of personal stories kind of bleed through. So like in this respect, like in relationship to sobriety, and that how that kind of like representation or visibility could resonate with a lot of people. Do you sobriety. What's your
that was a word I sent you. I wanted to talk about sobriety because in 2016, when we were purchasing the stud, I was drinking a lot. I have a love affair with alcohol. I loved it. I long time lover. But I also went on SSRIs for SSRIs are for depression and anxiety, and they don't really mix well with alcohol. And so when I was drinking, I was mostly just like blacking out and not feeling good. Like I wasn't like woo. It wasn't party vibes anymore. It was just like a blackout, and then I would do something ridiculous and embarrassing. So we're purchasing the stud in 2016, and I was like, I can't do this. We're gonna own a bar. Like I can't. So I stopped drinking right before we bought a bar. And so, which was like wild.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't do AA. I was just like, I'm going to white knuckle this. I was in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I had support systems. I had friends who are sober who were in AA, but like just people to call and check in with, like intensive care was someone I'd text if I was having a hard time, and like just these different people. And I just like white knuckled it. And I was at first I did this thing where I was like, I could go out and drink one night every month if I want to, but I like choose it and pick it. But it never ended well, and it wasn't cute. And then I didn't drink or do substances until 2021. So for 4 years, around 4, it was November 2nd, it was November 1st, 2016. It was right after Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was bartending on November 2nd when Trump was elected at Aunt Charlie's. And I was like, well, this is an excuse to drink. And I was like, no, bitch, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard. It was so hard.
Yeah.
And also to serve people alcohol while I was not drinking, and to also watch people like in like a more sober state.
Yeah.
Watch people like get really, really wasted. Like there's this judgment happens, I think, for a lot of people who go sober, where you're like, you start judging people who are drinking.
Because you identify with,
because it's so
what
easy
they
to
did.
see it and be like, ew, gross. And like it was just like hard to watch people kind of like deteriorate over a night. But like that's everyone's thing. And like, you know, it was this, so I had to go through like judging people and then hating myself that I was judging people and then being mad and annoyed. And then like got to a place where like finally I no longer like passed by like a wine bottle and was like, oh, I wish I was drinking, you know, like I just didn't anymore. So it was super hard to navigate, but it was like incredibly worth it. And it also really shone a light on the nightlife for me of like, I think the word community is used a lot. And earlier I was like, I don't love this word. And I love spontaneous, instantaneous, temporary community that is built just from like being together at Princess for a night or being on a dance floor for a night. Like you're in community of some sort, and that can be a really meaningful thing, even if it disappears at the end of the night. It can be transformative for you. It could be transformative like among people. But like when I stopped drinking, I like saw how many of my relationships were just centered on substance, as opposed to like the being togetherness that happens because of substances. Which was fine. It was a good thing to see. And now I use substances again, but I don't have the problem that I had before.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's weird. It's also weird to like be in a society that like alcohol's like really normal. It's like so dangerous. Like I hate to say, like I'm not gonna like tell anyone like I had some alcohol with my drink today, but like it's a crazy drug. It's so insane.
And sometimes like much more dangerous than other things that are like illegal.
Yes. Oh my God. And like, and I've encountered it, and I've
never seen someone pulled up for Molly driving.
Right.
You know?
And also like how much domestic violence happens because of ketamine use? Probably not much, because you're attached to the couch. But like, you know, like it's just like it's a wildly like okay drug. And so I've started to try to normalize talking about alcohol like a drug. Because I'll use other substances like kind of freely around people, and they're like, "Oh, really? Is that what you're gonna do?" I'm like, "You're about to drink a glass of poison, and you're judging me for doing a whisper of powder, you know?"
Yeah.
So I just started like talk about these things as like what they really are. Alcohol is a drug, and bartenders are drug dealers. It's just that it's legal.
Well, I do want to say that once. Angel was my dresser for Princess, and you gave her ketamine, and she was useless.
Yeah.
Useless as a dresser.
So that
I had
ruins
to
lives.
put all of my things on myself.
It
was
ruins
terrible.
lives.
Yeah.
It ruins lives. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to have created that drama and that problem. But I also realized I've been saying the word insane a lot to describe when things are like bonkers. I usually say bonkers. I don't know what's happening. But as someone with mental illness, I feel like whatever. Don't cancel me, bro.
No. Please don't cancel us. But please educate us. Like, we'll come up with alternatives.
I use bonkers. But
I hear people use the term tone deaf a lot, and then someone told me that like that was kind of ableist. So I'm just like, now every time somebody says tone deaf, I want to like say, hey, can we come up with a different term? But I also don't want to be that call out person. Right. But you could be your own call out person.
You can be your own call out person.
Yeah. And I think that's like the goal
of
call out culture.
Yeah.
Call in culture.
Call in culture. I'm
call yourself out. So nobody has to call you in.
Or like acknowledge when you fucked up. Like I did. I said insane, and I will use a different word.
No, but you're allowed to, because you are insane.
Because I have mental illness.
It's like, that's the rule, right? I don't know.
It is, but then it's like, because because mental illness is an invisible one, then you're just like kind of maybe being a dick.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Wow, I got serious and didn't make room for jokes at all, huh? Is this thing on?
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
but you also, of the myriad projects you have, you
Yes.
also have a podcast?
Oh, no, I did.
No,
I
okay.
had one called Calm Down Queen with Sukasa. It's still
Okay.
online. It's on the Apple Store.
Oh.
It's probably didn't age well. But we had it for years, and it was really fun. I'm working on one, actually, with Silkworm, with Maria Silk, also Silkworm, when she performs. But, like, we're doing one. It's just on hold because she's in grad school, and I'm in grad school, but we recorded 2 episodes. It's called Dance Splain, and it's us trying to explain contemporary dance and choreography to people who don't know about it or care. So, like, weird experimental shit that we've seen and be like, what? Oh, did the camera get dog?
Oh, no, the dog, yeah. I think everything's okay, yeah.
But yeah, like, we were going to do the alphabet. So we did, like, ballet or about, you know, so, like, stuff like this.
Oh, okay. So, wait, so what is your background in dance? You do you're an actor, you do dance?
So I am getting a master's in choreography.
Okay.
But I have no history of dance training or dance at all in my entire life.
No, that's totally fine.
Right, it's totally cool, right? Everyone loves that. But I was cast as a performer in works by contemporary choreographers in San Francisco because they saw me do drag. Yeah. And they were like, can you be in this piece and just do this weird shit? And I was like, cool. Oh yeah, I could run in a circle for an hour, like whatever it was. So then I ended up being in the field of choreography. And so when I'm funded, a lot of my work will be funded under choreography or theater. And then like Phonique, for example, Monique Jenkinson or Phonique has made a big, strong, like kind of rhetorical argument that like drag is a movement practice. Yeah. It's a lip sync. And then it's like costuming and like about body and embodiment. So there's this history of like choreography like that Phonique and other people have also paved the way. Yeah. So that's how I end up being in choreography. It's like also within my program, people are like, why are you here? And I'm like, shh. Don't talk about it. You know?
Yeah, no, none of your business.
Yeah, right.
Mind
like,
your business.
Just,
I'm a somatic artist.
Right.
I
have a body.
My body and face,
body
corporeal
and space
exploration.
And time.
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like people are very hesitant to call themselves dancers because like that it's such like a craft based or so kind of like a it's so beautiful. But I feel like everyone has a relationship with like their kinesthetic kind of like
kinesthetic.
Semiotics,
kinesthetic, somatic. Just Phoebe and I doing big words into microphones.
Jargon. So you have been privileged to experience a lot of the Bay Area nightlife and drag scene. Can you give us like the briefest of overviews of like the epochs of drag in the Bay Area? Like if you had elevator speech, someone's like, "What is the history of San Francisco drag or Bay Area drag?"
Okay, the history. The really pitched short. I just touched my nose. I forgot it was here. Forgot it was here. San Francisco has a rich history of gender transgression as a way of creative.
It's not an actual elevator. You could take your time. You don't need it. You didn't have to be that fast.
San Francisco has a rich tradition of gender transgression as a way of creative expression. It goes back to the Barbary Coast when we had men dressed as women doing can-cans on bars, stuff like that, who are also sex workers, obviously, most likely. And then also people coming to San Francisco and like completely changing their identities, their names. Sometimes like living in genders that were not assigned to them way back, gold rush times. So San Francisco already has this like genderness about it. It also has a long history of there's some crazy like racist stuff in San Francisco too. Like there's a period where Chinese bodies were being like really legislated out of public life. You weren't allowed to be Chinese in public basically based on certain attributes.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was targeted legislation around like types of work and also like if you were like malformed in certain ways, but it was very like about keeping the streets white. So like San Francisco had that history, which is a very American history as well. But because of the nature of San Francisco, that stuff was changed quite earlier than other places. So that's the start, which is like there's been a lot of
the foundation.
And then you have drag. I mean, the most significant thing we could talk about is Finocchio's, which was a female impersonation bar in Little Italy, North Beach, thank you, which was around for a very long time, and it was female impersonation, but a lot of those people were trans and drag artists. And then famously we have the Coquettes, which were around in the 1960s, Summer of Love, and they were a group of hippies who would do really long acid trip length because they were on acid performances in Haight Street somewhere in some theater that would last forever and were apparently really intense and hard on an audience, but also in a good way. And they were of all genders. They were men, women, trans people, all doing drag. And the most famous is, what's her name, Hyacinth? Or it's a flower name, which is a big beard. Is it Hyacinth? Something like this.
Yeah.
Which is a big beard and beautiful, iconic makeup. And then out of that, you get Sylvester. Sylvester is part of the Coquettes for a moment.
Wow.
Hibiscus, thank you.
Hibiscus. Okay.
So that was a really big thing in San Francisco, was this like gender fuck drag that happened. And then skip forward a little while and you get to, well, also back then, also the foundation of the Imperial Court, which was Jose Sarria, who was I think she maybe was trans-identified when she died, I don't recall, but she was started at just doing drag, but she was like, everyone has to be out of the closet. She ran for public office. This was like the 1950s and 60s. She was in the military and she was singing opera on the streets. And she was like, get out of the closet, get out of the closet. She formed the Imperial Court, which is the largest queer philanthropic organization in the entire world. And it has homes in many cities, not just in the United States, but also internationally. And they raise money and they do this court system thing, which is like a pageant where you get a title and then you raise money for a year. And then you have the Ducal Court, which was the people who were split from the Imperial Court because they were like, they're too uptight. And then they formed the Ducal Court. So you have these seats of Ducal and Imperial Court in San Francisco. And Charlie's is a Ducal Court. And then Marlena's used to be Imperial, but I don't know where the Imperial's based now. And then you have like the T-Shack days, or Tranny Shack, excuse the word. That's what it was called, where Heclina started a party at the Stud on top of beer crates. Like there was no stage, it was on top of beer crates, and it was I think it was in the 90s squarely. And it was very punk rock, and it was about like gender fuck. There's a really good documentary, actually, if you've never seen it, highly recommend to get the vibe. It was like queer, like really like taking back the word queer at a time when it wasn't being used so widely at all. And it was very like DIY and in your face and like aggressive and like transgressive and like, and then within that you have like Jerome Kaja, who was like this trans artist who is now collected in the MoMA, who was doing paintings on stuff with nail polish. That's like that's the shortest version I could give. But like, and then you have from Tranny Shack days, after that, out of that was like Charlie Horse, which was at the Cinch where I started. And then after that was Club Something, more significantly as like the Friday Party. And then everything. Sorry, that was a long one.
No, that was perfect. That was good. That's exactly what I wanted. Oh my God. I was thinking about that all day. I was like, I actually wanted that kind of like history lesson. And to hear it kind of laid out like that, I mean, like what?
And I brought up the policing of Chinese bodies because people often talk about the policing of gender in public, like the like you can't be dressed in other people's clothes and stuff. But when you start researching that, you see the ways in which like systematic and institutional oppression are like spread across not just gender but clearly race, obviously, but also class and things like this. And so it's once you start digging at like gender and like trans discrimination and like drag, you can't not talk about the legislation on other bodies and how they're policed. And it's like bonkers to like, I didn't know that and like also disabled people were not allowed to be Imperial Public, basically. You couldn't be grotesque. Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah. But it changes here kind of sooner than it does other places. And it was a very Wild West town. Like people came here, murdered people, changed their names, had new lives. Like it was wild back here, here in like the Barbary Coast days.
Thank you for that.
I'm a history nerd.
Yeah, no, that's great. So with not only your knowledge, but being able to exist through a lot of kind of the change in San Francisco, how is, I mean, like we talked about this during a break, but like we're both performers of a certain age, you know, we're getting older. How has not only regarding the history of San Francisco, but now kind of like reckoning with your existence in it for quite a while. Like, do you feel yourself changing? Do you feel the scene changing? How is aging in nightlife? You're still in nightlife. Your brother's having a baby.
I'm having a bar.
And you're having a bar.
Yeah. The aging thing I wanted to talk about because like this like desire to not be perceived, which has grown stronger as I've gotten older, but I think it also comes from the pandemic. I think I'm not like a digital native. Like I'm the generation where like I got email when I was 18 and I had a beeper when I was in college. Which was so fierce because no one else did. They all had landlines, and I was like, "Girl, I want to get those numbers."
Beeper code.
Oh yeah,
I'll write people beeper code, and they're like, "What are these numbers?
What's happening here?"
Yeah.
But so like so the conflation of like online life with like away from keyboard life or IRL life, for me is like it's still distinct, and I know that for a lot of people who are just slightly younger than me, it's like really enmeshed. And during the pandemic, I was trying to think about this because I was like, why do I not want to be perceived? I'm about to go on this podcast. It's a video and I'm going to put on makeup and I don't want anyone to look at me. And I'm just like, oh, I think what it is during the pandemic, everyone went online in such an intense and fierce way, a fierce negative way, where it's like they stopped being people to each other. Like people started being reactions to each other as opposed to like sharing space. If it's not clear from everything I've said is like so important to me because it's like just in like the space between our conversation or just like being around each other that like I learn about anything and experience the world is by being near other humans. And there's something about the onlineness that we were forced into during the pandemic that like made me kind of like recoil from wanting to be perceived because it was so like all these algorithms and everything is just like about the self so much that I was like, oh, I don't want to be involved in that because it felt so alienating to me. Yeah. That's a long ass psychological thing, but getting older is fucking weird because everyone tells you about it and then it's happening and you're like, how come no one told me about this? Yeah. Like I was like, how come no one told me that like if your foot starts hurting when you're 40, you can't treat it like when your foot starts hurting when you're 20. It's not going to go away in a week. It could potentially be hurting for the rest of your life. You have to check it out. Like these little things that like make it slower, like everything it takes longer. And then I think we talked about like I was like talking about troll thirst trap. Like I've like shape shifted significantly during the pandemic, and that was on purpose because I like we were talking about aging and like I know what my people look like when we get older, and it's like not cute or whatever. It's fine. Like age is fine, and I think we should age, and I also still want fillers, but like I think aging is fine. But I feel less beautiful as Vivi. Yeah. Like I like putting on drag for me felt beautiful. Drag felt like my gender. Yeah. Not like man or woman or trans, just like drag. Like that was my gender. I was like, I'm a drag queen. That's who I am. I'm like full of costumes and changes and blush and an eye crease and all this. But as I get older, I don't like how I look in drag anymore, which is like slightly devastating. Yeah. Because I really identified with what that was. And now I'm like leaning into what my body is already doing, which is like turning more masculine with age. Like I'm just more square and my face is like starting to like look more like a dude's face. Yeah. And so I'm like leaning into that shapeshift and kind of trying to choose it so it doesn't feel as aggressive and unfortunate. And then like and so that's like how I've become more of this like taking it more like having more muscles and being bigger and is like thirstier. I'm like leaning in thirstier, so thirsty. So thirsty. I'm so so parched, my hands. But like so that's what the aging is for me is like I'm kind of like leaving behind my like high femme drag. And that's not to say you can't get older and look great in high femme drag. People do. But it's like it's not the fantasy. It's not the dream for me. So that's the weird shift is like letting go of who she was a little bit. And she's not separate from me. It's like in me. Like I'm like the second like some guy comes up to me at the Eagle and they're like, what's your butt? And then I'm like, hey girl, like what like I'm like it's undeniable. Yeah. I'm still a drag queen. Yeah. But like it's fun. So that's my aging. Yeah. And also aging the nightlife, we don't take care of people enough. I think we need to take care of people more. Yeah. Like we just do. Places are hard. Like the older you get, the more your body hurts, the more like you have illnesses. Yeah. And the nightlife is not something that can sustain you as a profession.
No, and the drag queens keep getting younger and the clientele too. But I mean, like, I'm not done.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, that's also, and we don't favor We don't favor age. Like the
Yeah.
things that come with age are like what wisdom, which also leads. It could be like humor and like presence and like expertise of technique.
Yeah.
But we don't favor those things. We favor like a dip and a flip and like a hair toss or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think aging is, in general, looked down upon, and I think there's got to be a way as queers we have to like queer that idea that it's like not cool to get older.
I love hearing you kind of like also remark on how drag is your relationship to like drag changes with age, but how drag could also be a way for you to relate with your aging, you know?
Yeah.
Like for me, when I started drag, I was well into my 30s, but I'm now like pushing 40. But I was like at least 30 years old, but I still look like 23.
Right, because
genes. But a lot of what I had to reckon with, like with myself in like my earlier years, just like kind of like infantilized, but like not feeling sexy because like being an Asian male, you're kind of pushed into this like either like non-sexual space or like concubinical feminine sexual space, which that never like really resonated with me necessarily. So like when I started doing drag and I was becoming Phoebe, like this like beautiful woman, and she's beautiful.
she's
I was like
gorgeous.
I had to like confront the parts of myself that were masculine because I never really kind of like regarded or acknowledged it. You know, it's just like because the art of doing makeup and, you know, feminine illusion is like, oh, actually, you know, I want to make my nose skinnier and my jawline kind of like slimmer and, you know, and bring out, you know, the feminine parts of me because I've always like looked at myself as like already being too feminine, you know? But now that I'm getting older, it's like I'm just like, oh no, saddlebags. I gotta tape all the time because now there's just like this extra skin that wasn't always there that I see, you know, in certain like lights, you know. So, but also kind of like experiencing that through doing drag, you know, like that's. Yeah.
Well, and also like being drag artists, like we spend a significant amount of time staring at our faces, right? So like I started seeing the changes in my faces during the pandemic when I was on Zoom all the time, and I was like, oh Lord, I see it coming, you know?
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, Gina La Divina, you know, like the flawless Sabrina from New York, like there's still drag. It's just, I think our idea of femininity currently in the United States, if I could even speak so broadly, is like of youth. Like we don't see, like Meryl Streep, God bless her, you know, like we don't see femininity as something that's older. So as drag artists who are like particularly doing femme when we do drag, like there isn't a model for how to be powerful, sexy, hot, what are mysterious, the things you want to be in drag while getting older. Yeah. Because they're not even modeled for cis women. Yeah. Which is fucking bonkers. Like that is insane. Yeah. Right? Like a cis woman are like you're old now. You're none of the other adjectives, you're just old. Yeah. And it's like, oof, that is bad news. That's because like, yeah, also the other part is we're all going to be starting to live longer and longer. But I think also with that, they're going to figure out how to make us stay youthful longer and longer too, right?
I hope so.
I think it's coming. I think like the kids who are 20 now are probably going to just like look 25 for like a really long time.
Yeah, that's my gig. No,
right? Yeah. I know, we just missed it. We just missed it. Maybe I could just sleep for a while and then they'll wake up and they'll fix me, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Do you feel old or do you feel young?
I feel as old as I am. I'm 43. But I realize that like when I'm talking, I'm like, I was at the airport and I saw this lady and she was like probably in her 40s. Like, I mean, someone who's older than me. Yeah. And I'm like, oh. And then I realized that also she probably was in her 40s and she just lived a really different life than I did. And she looks like someone who's in their 40s. And I think I look like a gay in their 40s. Yeah. I have a shaved head. I have a septum ring. I have tattoos. Like I look like a gay San Franciscan in my 40s. Yeah. But like I feel my body's starting to feel older, which is a bummer, but like I feel way more stable than ever up in here and in my heart. And so I think I'm like kind of like, I'm also a Capricorn and like we get younger. I'm sorry. You gotta go. What are you like? Cancer? Gemini. Oh, yeah, Geminis. Half of them. Half, get it? Get it? Gemini's two-sided. Get it? Did everyone get it? No, my best friend's Gemini. But like Capricorns get younger as we age. Yeah. we start off as like little old people, and then we get older.
I didn't know that about Capricorns.
Yeah, they're not, because we're like super.
Yeah.
Speaking of Capricorns, I was talking to Jillian today,
Mhm.
and she was saying something about like how it was so horrible to be young because young Capricorns are just like so confused and angry the whole time because we were just old people, and I was like, oh, and I related so deeply. But yeah. But how do you feel older?
I feel, and every year I feel younger and more myself than I ever did when I was younger.
Right.
Younger, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, I feel like on the inside I'm in my prime, but like you, like minor injuries or like weird body stuff, it's like, oh no, I threw my neck out. How did that happen? I slept on it wrong.
Right.
Or just like, oh yeah, why won't this cramp go away? Like that's like there, but it's like, actually I feel young.
Right.
I feel... And I gag the 19-year-olds at work when they find out how old I am,
Well,
because I'm so irresponsible. Oh yes, I look young.
Because you're so irresponsible.
Yeah, because I'm so.
Because there's
I act
is there
like
cum leaking out of
exactly.
you?
I'm
Is that
young, dumb, full of cum. Yeah.
I've started doing a thing when I see an old person and I imagine that they feel exactly how I do right now, and I'm like, wow, totally. They're not like some like wizened old person. They're like just like there's like a person who got older. They're just like who has the same problems as a person who, you know what I mean? Like, but I also feel that I feel younger and like more like ready to be in the world than I ever was before. Yeah,
exactly. It's more like a readiness.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I can finally be here. But I always thought there would be a moment where like you suddenly are like, I'm old now, and you do something different, and I'm like, oh, and I am doing different things. I'm not as nightlife centered. I'm not doing as much femme drag. So there's changes, but I think that's just from being. I'm like, it's not about age. It's just being alive for a long time, which I know is the same as age. But like, we just have more experience, so like things change when you're around. Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's a nice way of talking about it, avoiding it.
I'm gonna try to like not get too sentimental. Sometimes I like wax poetic about my guests because I like idolize them so much.
Don't do it.
But like you are like have been cited as an inspiration to like multiple people that have like not only in the world but like specifically people that have been on this podcast. Excuse me. Well, speaking of which, Lisa has cited you as an inspiration.
Oh my God.
Jillian, Florida. I talk about how the only approval that I needed when I started drag was like yours.
Really?
Oh yeah.
No way.
Oh, I thought you were so cool. Like Vivi's grand opening when I went, I was like, oh, this is like mind bending, and like the person behind this must be such a genius, and I want their approval. And then when you started digital drag alive, I was just like, I just thought what you were doing, and like when you asked me to do it, it's just like, oh, I get to like present my work to you. Like, anyways, but I'm not the only person that felt that way. It's really like sweet. Florida has said that. Lisa has like smacked away possible parents, and had chosen you.
Yes.
So what does it feel like to have that regard or recognition from like people that are obviously like prominent figures in the drag community,
That's really sweet. Thank you. I'm like, I have a problem with my tone. I don't sound genuine sometimes. Like my mom is like, says it all the time. She's like, say you love me. And I'm like, I love you. And she's like, see, I didn't believe it. But so like, I really do appreciate that. I don't know how to sound genuine because I'm embarrassed. But it wasn't until recently that I've actually reckoned with the reputation I have, because I have just been like a terrified, anxious person trying my best to have a good time. So like the reason why I made like grand opening was because I was like, ugh, I want to just make this thing, and like grand opening spent more money. Like I didn't make money on that party, but because we spent a lot of money on costumes and like everyone got paid decently for the time that it was, whatever. But like I was treating it like an art project that was itself, but like I was always like, oh, no one cares. I didn't make enough money. So I'm in my own shit so much that I have never really been able to appreciate what it's meant to other people. And I also just like believe that like, I don't believe like in the like Hollywood American whatever thing that like if you work hard enough you'll achieve it. Like that's not true. But if you work hard at something, you'll be good at that thing. Yeah. And maybe not as good as everybody, but like truly, if you just spend time doing something over and over again, you're bound to get better at it than you were before. And like I've had the privileges that I have in this body, and this is what society gives me to like support me in some of the work that I do, and just like that I have spent all of my resources mostly until a few years ago on art making and like doing drag and being with people, that like it's kind of all I had. And so like I feel like I'm like explaining away the compliment right now,
Yeah.
where I'm like, so like to hear that I have high regard is like really touching, because it also means something to me, because I was never trying to have high regard. I was just trying to like do something cool with some people that I like,
Yeah.
you know? So it means a lot that it means something to other people.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because, and I just have low self-esteem, so it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, really? Me? I just like made people dress like cats and learn fucking buttons by
Well,
Pussycat
you're
Dolls,
smart,
you know?
and you care about performance,
Yeah.
and you care about being in community,
Yeah.
and you're like a great host, and
Thanks.
you know.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's incredible to hear that. You know,
Yeah.
it is, because I mean, I know Lisa thinks it because we talk all the time and we tell
Yeah.
each other how amazing we are all the time because it's our jobs, but jobs because we're friends, not because we're paid. I'm not paid. It's volunteer work, but no, it is. It really means a lot, especially because I've just been like trying to like. I guess because it's what a nice benefit of just like working hard at doing the thing I love, and then to hear that it means something, like to have high regard, you know. But it's like, but then it's like I saw you doing stuff online, and I was like, who's this like beautiful genius making beautiful stuff happen? Like that's the thing, is like I don't have much. I don't like believe in my own like hype or stink. You know what I mean? Like I'm really inspired by people who are like doing cool stuff, and I just assume that they have it figured out.
Oh, we don't.
I know.
No. I mean, like, honestly,
way.
that's like my experience doing this whole thing. It's just like people come up to me, it's like, "Oh, that's so great what you're doing." It's like, no, honestly, I'm like, I'm a worm.
Right.
I'm
an anxious mess. I'm like, I was like mostly motivated my whole life by fear and whatever. And it's like, but like the truth is like that, like I like wanted to work with you or put you in the show because I was like, that person's doing cool stuff and I want to see them do more cool stuff. And it's like, it's a little bit selfish too. It's like, I want to be surrounded by beautiful things. So I'm going to like work with people who I think are making cool stuff. And I generally think most people are doing cool stuff. And then if we want to get like catty and bitchy, there's like a list I could give you of people who I do not think are doing cool stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna be our Patreon exclusive. You came up with it for us. Okay, good. Okay, 2 questions. It's a 2-parter. Okay, what do you think your legacy is right now? Like if someone's writing a Wikipedia entry about you, like they would say like under Vivi's legacy, it would have this paragraph. And then what do you want your legacy to be if it's not what the legacy is?
I think I'd be most remembered for my emceeing, because that's what I get the most feedback about. Emceeing, and then for doing these weird projects. So like grand opening or the show, like weird, like, and by weird I mean that's how people have referred to them. Like it's like not straightforward drag. It's like weird. So I think that, and the legacy I'd like, I hope people think that I hope that my anxiousness, nervousness, and whatever doesn't ever come across as anything except my own, and that it's kindness. Yeah. Because I really do believe in kindness. Like I know that might sound like really soft or whatever, but like I think being kind even to people we disagree with or who aren't like us or who are annoying or whatever is actually just like we might as well make it nice while we're here alive together. I don't know. And that's a very Glamour thing. I really think I took that.
No, that's beautiful. And it's not like, it's not 100% of the time the people you idolize or like look up to are kind, but like you're
that's
kind.
what I want. Like, and because I also like, I just want us to have fun. Like I'm not getting paid enough to not have fun. Like I just want to have a good time doing the stuff we're doing. And I feel so lucky to be in the business of that, right? Like I get to like throw a show and then like do the show and be like, cool, now we're getting paid and a little bit and having fun. So I guess kindness, that would be really important to me. But other than that, I used to want to be known to be like a genius artist. And since the pandemic has happened, I don't care much about that anymore. I'm more like, I just want to get to keep making art while I'm alive. And then like whatever people think about me when I'm dead is fine. Well, like if I leave a mark or not in that world, at least while I'm alive, I'm doing it. That's what I care about.
Plenty of people will already now regard you as a genius. So I think that's like your legacy.
Someone needs to call the MacArthur Foundation because that grant is $800,000.
Whoa!
Yeah, you don't apply; you get referred. So if anyone wants to refer me, it's the MacArthur Genius Grant.
Oh, I hate that grant. Okay,
you could get it too. We just have to.
I know. I gotta figure. Yeah,
Do they give it
grants
on MacArthur Boulevard?
No, yeah, exactly. You just like stand out in the corner flipping a sign.
Yeah, to wear the right outfit.
I said that was the last question, but is there one piece of advice you'd give to the to our audience?
Don't ever send anything in a text that you don't want published anywhere else.
That's good advice.
And if it makes you uncomfortable with the idea of calling someone about something, you should call them. Because the truth is, they're probably uncomfortable too. That's worth a phone call.
Oh.
Like if you have a conflict with someone, or if you're like, and then also this, if you can post about it, no, if you could DM someone instead of post, DM. If you could text instead of DM, text. Even if you can call instead of text, call. And if you can meet in person instead of call, meet in person. I think there's like, I just have recently been like, we need to like put our phones down and like meet each other and be together. And like, so like if anyone has a problem with anyone, like, and I love drama and I love gossip. I love gossip, particularly when it has nothing to do with me. I love hearing stories about what's happening. I just love it. It's so great. And especially when there's no stakes for me, but like, if that's my kind of thing is like, if you like, instead of like reaching for our phones and our whatevers, that's the advice I would give today.
That's great advice.
Yeah, just like talk to people. Like that's what, like, I mean, it's particularly like where we are in the Bay Area, like whatever. Like, I mean, like it's like it's too small a place to not keep talking to each other. And I don't think that's necessarily like endemic or like a big, huge problem right now. I'm just like, I have to remind myself of that all the time. Is like, if I'm annoyed and just like want to make a tweet about it, I'm like, okay, am I really actually annoyed? And is it really about something I want resolved? And like, what does resolution actually mean? It's talking to the fucking person.
Yeah. Before we read our patrons, and you'll help me with that.
Oh, I love reading.
Yeah.
Read them, like make fun
Tell
of
us
them.
quickly about And the Bull.
Oh.
And you've had 2 performances so far?
2 in the Bay Area. I have 1 booked for February. So And the Bull is a performance that is made for dining room or kitchen tables. It's meant for groups of like 10 to 20. And it is a 45-minute kind of like monologue / fever dream / poetic experience. And it touches on themes of queer desire, queer grief, and also just like it has like a mythopoetic feel to it. It's like it touches like there's a lot of animals and like kind of like dreamscape stuff, but it's presented in homes and hosted by people. So it's like it like tours. So like I'm currently on tour. So I developed it in Amsterdam and I showed it in a gallery or like a studio, and it could be shown in studios or galleries, but it's better at a table. And then the host just like invites their friends, or I invite people, and then we just have a night.
That's very cool.
I love it.
Would you do it here?
I would love to do it here. It's not drag. It's in a suit. I wear a suit, but I consider it drag because I'm wearing a fucking suit.
Yeah.
And I'm like being a guy.
You're born naked, and the
rest
is drag.
What?
Okay, this is your card. This is mine. Let's go read the patrons.
Do we just read their name, or are we making fun of them?
No, we don't need to make fun of them. If you have a read,
well,
we can.
Because you said read them.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, we can read them.
I don't.
I'm not gonna say anything.
My brain's so slow.
Okay, yeah. Well, I have Rexy Tapia, scammer. Are we? No, we're not doing that, are we? I take it.
Oh my god, that's so good. Oh my god, I am living.
Yeah.
I don't know who Bella is, so I can't make fun of her.
Oh, she's great. They're great. Anita Bump.
Enough said.
Enough said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ali Scott. That's the stage manager at your show? Previous stage manager. Previous assistant stage manager.
Previous assistant, yes.
Okay, so sounds like they're completely irrelevant.
That is their
job is they've been terminated.
Clark Alexander.
Oh, gross.
Enough. Also enough said.
So
I don't
gross.
know. So gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I love or hate most about Clark? Is she could just put on a wig and look like the most beautiful, stubble for days, and be the most beautiful woman.
I disagree.
I think she can. I prefer when it's more polished and perfect.
Yeah.
But like she could just show up and I'm like, how are you just like so cunt all of the time? You disagree?
No, she is cunt like most of the time. I agree. But like sometimes she's like, try a little more, Clark.
Oh sure. But I think all of us when we do it over and over
I'm
again.
kidding.
Do you have those? Wait.
Yeah.
I know we're reading these, but do you have those days where you're like, I'm phoning it in?
Oh no.
Really?
I don't go out if I'm gonna phone it in.
Oh, really?
I'm like so. Yeah, I don't know. Do I ever phone it in?
Oh.
I feel like I'd sooner just call in sick than phone it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just won't go out. I think that's where I'm at.
I think like once you do a weekly party,
Yeah.
there's just a moment at which you're like, oh, I'm actually gonna do most of the lip sync, and
Yeah.
they don't really care. But which I would never have said before, because I think our job is to lip sync.
Yeah.
But after doing a weekly, I'm just like, actually, you guys are gonna only pay attention for half of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just Phoebe, would you not say that you phoned it in tonight?
Oh,
No.
oh,
No.
she matched me.
Yeah.
How long
I
did your
worked
makeup
very
take?
hard.
This was 2 hours.
That was 2 hours. I gave myself 2 hours. I
Yeah.
probably finished like maybe 30 minutes ahead of schedule. But like your prosthetics are great.
Thank you.
It's not even comparative. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Freddie Seipold. I'm also not gonna read Freddie. I love him.
Maybe we should just like not read at all.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris Hendricks, completely no read at all for you, which is kind of a read in itself.
Oh, Chris Hendricks. Actually, Chris Hendricks inspired my dig at the San Francisco Ballet earlier. So
Oh.
not even a read, but like thank you for.
Are they a
for
ballet
that.
dancer who's not quite good?
No,
Oh.
they're actually just like a bitchy critic.
Oh.
I don't think they know the terms and they're a connoisseur, but they're not a dancer.
No.
No, I don't think so.
I love people who are critics of things that they can't do.
Oh, when I first started makeup, like Chris was the biggest critic of my makeup.
Really?
Brick for days. Okay.
You have the concept of an
Yeah.
eyebrow. Diana, loved Diana. I have nothing bad to say about her. She's my sister.
I have plenty bad to say about her,
Oh, really?
actually.
She
I wrote a
shit
whole
star?
roast about Diana.
She
If
got
you're interested-
roasted?
Yeah, she was a part of Beef's roast, but she didn't show up because she had a conflict that kept her in
Wait,
LA.
whose roast?
Beefcakes.
Oh,
Yeah,
Beefcakes.
no, that's the right.
No, I think you said B, and I was like, Beatrice, like Black Benatar? Or
Oh no, no,
Beef
no.
had a roast.
Yeah, Beef had a roast.
a roast.
Yeah,
beef.
but Diana sent in a video, and it was like kind of iconic, like the worst video, but kind of iconic.
When I think of Mama Celeste, I don't think of a glamorous drag queen. I think of a Teletubby being dragged through Folsom Street.
All right. Raina Terror. Welcome back, Raina.
And
Nothing bad to say about you. out
Kai
there.
Kai B. Michaels. Oh, wait, I have a Patreon.
Oh, you have a Patreon.
I have a Patreon, but I don't have any patrons to shout out. My Patreon is
Okay.
really mortifying.
Oh, really?
It's
Why?
a poetry Patreon.
Oh, yeah, that is mortifying.
Right?
Please
I have a
don't.
friend recently who
Yeah.
was like, I was like, will you come to my poetry reading? He's like, it's kind of like watching karaoke. And I was like, ugh. Because
Yeah.
I have a thing, but like, yeah, I have a poetry Patreon. But anyone can have access to it completely free. And if you want to give me money, you can. That's how I made it.
Oh, that's great. We'll put a link to it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so you don't have to pay to be tortured.
No, exactly.
And-
No, please don't.
And then we have a new Cake Cheer patron, and it's a little too much. I love Little Too Much.
I don't know them.
Little
don't
Too
know
Much
anyone.
is just like sweet as hell. We were in the same turbo pageant cycle.
Oh.
That's how I think we met. But they're great. I know they're doing New Year's Eve at Oasis.
Oh, wow.
I know that because like everyone's doing it except for me, so I don't know
Oh,
what that's about.
interesting.
But
Huh. Interesting. Me
Interesting,
too.
yeah.
I haven't been booked at
Yeah.
Oasis for
yeah,
for
so
years.
you know, who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
I'm like giving like Lisa the dirtiest look.
Yeah.
Lisa
No.
the nicest, sweetest person. Weird. I haven't been booked for years.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Oasis, huh?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about Oasis. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that.
Well, thank you. This was like such a pleasure.
Was it?
Yes.
I feel like it wasn't funny.
No, you were funny.
I'm so bad at
We could
funny.
definitely punch up the funny.
I'm so
we'll
bad
put
at
fart
funny.
sounds,
Oh,
laugh tracks.
perfect.
Why are you laughing?
Great.
Okay. Okay, I think we got it.
You nailed the pre-interview.
Yay!
Cheers, thanks. Those are great
Cheers.
questions. Oh my god,
Thank you.
on your cards and everything.
Mhm.
You're a great interviewer.
Oh, thanks.
But show me beautiful.